In a bustling city where the car dealerships seemed to merge into one another under the bright morning sun, the gleaming vehicles in the expansive lot of AutoWorks Motors sparkled invitingly. Inside the glass-walled showroom, eager salesmen stood ready in their tailored suits, prepared to perform their daily dance of calculated salesmanship, smiles plastered on their faces. Cars adorned with oversized price tags basked in the warm rays, their polished surfaces hidden from the crucial truth harbored within. But today was different. In the midst of the crowd, disguised amid the twinkling reflections of luxury cars, sat Adrian Hale, the undercover CEO of AutoWorks. To casual observers, he was just another customer in worn jeans and a simple flannel shirt, aimlessly browsing for a reliable used car. However, Adrian knew he was much more than that. He was determined to uncover the truth behind a business he had spent years building from the ground up. Adrian had dedicated his life to crafting AutoWorks into a reputable dealership with a strong focus on honesty and customer satisfaction. Yet as the company flourished, reports from management began painting a rosy, deceptive picture of success. Complaints had grown louder, stories of pushed sales, unfair appraisal deals, and hidden fees. Reports from his managers looked fantastic on paper, but Adrian sensed that numbers alone could not capture the soul of the business or the experiences of its patrons. He felt it was time to take matters into his own hands. He donned his undercover guise and stepped into the dealership as an anonymous customer. As Adrian ambled through rows of gleaming automobiles, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease settling in his stomach. He picked up on murmurs and whispers echoing through the showroom. Every now and then, the laughter of salesmen echoed as they eyed prospective customers, but the genuine warmth had faded. His unease deepened when he caught sight of a distressed couple lingering near the trade-in desk, their expressions alarmed and sorrowful. Tom and Matilda Tanner, an elderly couple in their 70s, stood there, clutching each other's hands. They were pleading with Lucas Grant, a seasoned sales manager known for maximizing dealership profits at any cost. Adrian's heart sank as he neared the conversation. "This isn't just a vehicle to us," Matilda said, her voice heavy with emotion. "It's all we have left of our son." Lucas leaned back, arms crossed, a smirk plastered on his face. "Look, I can't help you. The market value is $3,000, and that's generous given the mileage on your car." Adrian could feel the bitterness of injustice seep through him. He had built AutoWorks upon the foundation of fairness and compassion, yet here stood Lucas, sacrificing ethics for profit. Taking a breath to steady himself, Adrian stepped forward, his heart racing, masking an undercurrent of anger with a calm demeanor. "Excuse me, what seems to be the problem here?" Adrian asked. Lucas shot him a disdainful glance, clearly annoyed with the interruption. "This is a private matter." Undeterred, Adrian pressed on. "I couldn't help but overhear. I'm interested in that sedan you have outside. What's the trade-in value?" $3,000, Lucas reiterated, clearly growing irritated. Adrian tilted his head, feigning indifference. "Not much. How about $5,000 as a direct purchase?" The room fell silent. Tom and Matilda gasped, hope flickering across their faces as they processed Adrian's offer. "What?" Lucas sputtered, eyes narrowing. "That car is worth—" "I believe that car is worth more than what you've said," Adrian interrupted, his voice firm as he took a step closer. He locked eyes with the elderly couple, his heart swelling with empathy. "It's not just a car, it's a legacy. If you want, I can take it off your hands, but it's not for profit's sake. It's to honor the memory you hold dear." Matilda wiped at the tears rolling down her cheeks. "You'd do that for us?" Adrian nodded with conviction, pulling out a checkbook. Lucas erupted in outrage, gesturing furiously, but Adrian ignored him completely. He scribbled down a generous amount and handed it over, watching as the couple's expressions transformed from despair to joy. Hope blossomed in their eyes. Adrian could see them holding on to their son's memory. But that joy was fleeting. Lucas stormed out, fury blazing in his eyes. Adrian knew this confrontation was just the beginning. The real battle lay ahead. After the elderly couple made their way out, Adrian turned to the room, gathering the confidence of his earlier actions. However, he knew he couldn't just let this slide. He needed to address the toxic culture that had developed under Lucas's management. The next morning, Adrian called an urgent meeting with his management team. Listen up. What I witnessed yesterday was nothing short of a crime against our values, and it's time to change that, he stated, his expression serious and determined. From now on, every deal will be transparent. No more hidden costs. If you can't embrace honesty, you can walk out the door. The room roiled with tension. Some employees shifted nervously, unsure how to react. Others nodded, realizing the urgency for change. But Adrian could see the glimmer of hope flickering across the faces of many. His belief in transformative change appeared to resonate. Lucas had anticipated that Adrian's changes would fizzle out into empty promises, but he quickly realized he was wrong. As weeks went by, angry customers began rallying around Adrian's vision. They shared their stories of deception within the walls of AutoWorks and the unethical practices they had experienced in their prior dealings. But Lucas wasn't about to give up the fight. He started to implement underhanded tactics, attempting to lure customers away with temptation, promising lower prices that concealed a world of hidden fees. Adrian could almost hear the gears turning in Lucas's head. The man was desperate to maintain his standing amidst the changing tides. One rainy afternoon, as patrons shuffled into the showroom, Adrian overheard a young couple at a desk seeking advice. The male customer said, "Honestly, we were interested in the AutoWorks deal, but we got a call from Lucas at Langford Motors. They're offering the same model for $2,000 less." What a surprise, Adrian thought bitterly, stepping forward. "Sir, can I ask you something?" The man looked surprised but nodded. "Did you ask them how they're making up that discount?" Adrian probed, leaning in closer. The couple looked at each other, confusion in their faces. "No, they didn't mention anything," the woman admitted hesitantly. Adrian's brow furrowed. "That's because Langford Motors doesn't mention the hidden fees, the tricky financing, and the mandatory add-ons that'll spring to life at the last moment when you're ready to sign." The man and woman exchanged uneasy glances, and Adrian saw definite signs of doubt creeping in. Tim, an older salesman, chimed in, "Yeah, we've had multiple customers come back to us after being scammed by Langford. Those offers sound too good to be true, and they often are." Suddenly the couple stiffened, dawn breaking over their expressions. "We've had a few bad experiences the last time, now that you mention it." With newfound steely resolve, they said, "We'll stick with you guys." Adrian smiled, gratitude swelling in his chest. As the day progressed, he received notice of rising complaints due solely to Lucas's deceitful tactics. Adrian felt a rush of energy to combat the manipulative rival and meet challenges head-on. The following day, Adrian gathered his team again, ready to strategize their next move. Aggression wasn't going to be the answer. The way forward had to be paved with integrity. "Lucas is trying to paint us in a bad light, so we're going to remind everyone what Langford really stands for." The idea was simple yet powerful. Take to social media. Adrian launched a campaign to invite past customers to connect. If they had been misled or unhappy with their deals from Langford, he encouraged them to come forward, promising them genuine assistance without tricks. Within days, a flurry of emails, phone calls, and customers arrived at the dealership eager to spill their stories of mistreatment. Leah, the young mother who had walked in weeks prior, now stood before Adrian again, this time holding a folder filled with documentation outlining the additional costs she endured due to misleading fees. "I can't believe these practices were normal," she said, shock still evident in her eyes. Adrian, invigorated by the chance to make amends, responded, "Let's put an end to that." Day after day, customers flooded into AutoWorks. It felt like a tidal wave of goodwill heading straight towards the shore of honesty. The synergy of compassion slowly transformed not just Adrian, but the dealership itself. As the tide turned further, Lucas felt the pressure mounting. The relationship between the two rival dealerships escalated, festering simmering tensions that boiled just beneath the surface. Then came the critical moment when Lucas orchestrated a public confrontation, standing brazenly in the midst of the showroom, eyes ablaze with indignation. "What do you think you're doing, Hale?" he barked. "You're nothing but a charade, a fraud cloaked in virtue. Customers are just waiting to backtrack to get their refunds." Adrian faced him calmly, refusing to be rattled. You should understand there's no virtue in misleading people. Lucas, visibly shaken by the strength behind Adrian's resolve, tried steeliness. You don't get it, do you? You're setting a dangerous precedent. You're ruining this business for everyone. Adrian's gaze turned icy. Perhaps it's you who doesn't quite understand the meaning of good business. You've corrupted the industry's core values and now it's time to change. Refusing to back down, Lucas responded with a scoff. Stay in your lane, Hale. You're bleeding customers dry with this nonsense. The two men stood face to face, the tension palpable. Lucas threw down one last statement. You'll regret this, Adrian. I'll take back what you're trying to build. Adrian didn't flinch. Let's issue a challenge. If your customers value your honesty so much, tell them to bring their experiences here. We will let the truth speak for itself. Lucas stormed out in a flurry, hinting that the war had only just begun. But Adrian remained steadfast, energized by the thought of rebuilding trust in the community. Days passed, and one evening Adrian found himself reflecting on how quickly things had changed. Owning a dealership was a dream, but seeing it transformed into a beacon of hope proved even more fulfilling. Several loyal customers had started returning with booklets of purchase records, baffled by the unethical treatments they had experienced at Langford Motors. Adrian spent hours parsing through these documents, determined to make right the wrongs that had been inflicted on the loyal customers. Each story reaffirmed his mission. He found connections, tears, laughter, and most importantly, renewed faith in the relationship between a business and its patrons. Late one night, as he finally closed the door to his office, a notification pinged on his phone. It was an email from Leah, providing an update about customers who had come forward with similar grievances. She said that word has spread. Adrian exclaimed to himself, reading that her family managed to convince several others in their community to get in touch. Adrian called Leah promptly to express his gratitude. This is fantastic news, he said, excitement bubbling in his voice. It shows how people can come together to hold each other accountable. However, during this resurgence of trust, Lucas was silently calculating his next move. He had spent nights obsessively plotting and scheming ways to retaliate against Adrian's unwavering focus on honesty. Fueled by desperation, he concocted a scheme to expose Adrian's newfound integrity as a sham. Days later, Adrian received shocking news. Lucas had gone public with allegations. Reports flagged that AutoWorks Motors was running a refund scam, asserting Adrian was misleading the public by selectively reviewing customers for potential refunds. Adrian clenched his jaw at the headline, his heart racing as he read about Langford Motors' claims that they were losing money rapidly and would soon be forced to close. Great, Adrian thought dryly, rolling his eyes at the lengths to which Langford had fallen to protect his failing empire. Tensions rose within AutoWorks, and Adrian knew he had to confront the deceitful accusations head-on. The following morning, the press conference was set. Adrian stood outside AutoWorks Motors, flanked by loyal customers and employees eager to support him, cameras flashing like stars in the twilight sky. Good morning. I won't waste your time, he began, his voice steady and unwavering. Today I'm here to address the baseless accusations made against my dealership. Michael Langford, in desperation, claims we are running a refund scam, that I'm misleading customers. He paused to absorb the energy of the crowd, merging determination with sincerity. Langford is right about one thing. Our business model is different. But it is not a scam, it's called integrity. A ripple of surprise swept through the audience. Adrian continued, I am not ashamed to say that yes, we have refunded customers who were mistreated. We corrected bad deals. We took responsibility for the past, and we continue to do so. Adrian looked directly into the camera, channeling the intense energy into every word. Langford Motors wants you to believe that honest business cannot survive, that we need to deceive customers to make money. But that is simply a lie, and we're proving it. The crowd began to clap enthusiastically. Encouraged by the rising cheers, Adrian felt his resolve solidifying. This was about more than just a dealership, it was a movement. Just then, a man stepped out from the crowd, holding a folder of papers. It was someone from Langford's former staff, shaking with intensity. I quit my job at Langford this morning, he announced, causing everyone, including Adrian, to whirl with surprise. Everything you said about Lanfrod's deceit is true. He extended the folder with allegations of hidden fees and fraudulent financing that had taken place under Lucas's oversight, all documented. Within moments, the auditorium erupted with disbelief, murmurs turning into gasps. Michael's empire was crumbling, all thanks to the truth rising to the surface. Adrian felt a wave of relief wash over him. Lucas had lost, not just because of Adrian's efforts, but due to the collective strength of those bound by the truth. The light of honesty illuminated the dark corners of the industry, transcending beyond the confines of AutoWorks. That evening, the dealership buzzed with anticipation as customers poured in, emboldened by the turnaround. Days turned into weeks, and momentum shifted in AutoWorks Motors' favor. Lucas was left scrambling, composing desperate attempts to appeal to a waning customer base, but with each failure, AutoWorks grew stronger. Months later, Adrian gathered his team for a celebratory meeting. Heartfelt expressions danced across their faces. They had survived the storm together, and the bond they shared was tangible. Today, we come together to celebrate resilience. Adrian began, scanning the room. In the face of adversity, we forged forward, renewed our commitment to honesty, and built trust with our community. A sense of camaraderie enveloped the room as the employees nodded, encouraged by their shared accomplishments. We won because we dared to believe that integrity matters, Adrian concluded. As the applause swelled around him, a warmth filled his heart. Soon after, he received a beautifully handwritten letter from Tom and Matilda with an accompanying photograph of their son's car, the very same car Adrian had purchased from them months prior. The image of the refurbished vehicle was a sight to behold, gleaming like a beacon of hope. "Thank you for proving that good people still exist in business," the letter read, sending a wave of gratitude through Adrian's core. "Our son would have been proud of you." Adrian couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment and purpose in that moment. He didn't just run a dealership. He had forged a legacy, a testimony of compassion that bridged gaps in trust and offered refuge even in corporate chaos. As the sun dipped below the horizon, illuminating the world in hues of gold and crimson, Adrian smiled at the journey they had embarked on. A community in need met the demands for integrity, and he knew this was merely the beginning of the changes that would echo throughout the industry. Integrity may not be the easiest road, he thought, but, in the end, it certainly is the right path. And that day, in the glow of customer satisfaction, an unwavering belief in fairness, and the principles he held dear, Adrian knew that the fight for transparency and honor in automobile dealings had sparked a movement that would resonate far beyond the doors of AutoWorks Motors. With the authenticity of purpose, the legacy was just starting to unfold.